I consider the proposed storming of the industrial zone impractical. I order you to cancel it. This is a time when we must think. We must always think, but even more so in this case, about preserving the life and health of our soldiers and officers. There's no need to climb into these catacombs and crawl underground through these industrial facilities. Block off this industrial area so that the fly doesn't fly through. Once again, invite everyone who has not yet laid down their arms to do so. The Russian side guarantees their lives. Putting such an important center in the south as Mariupol under control is a success. Congratulations.
I thought I would do a second video update, and gosh, I do my first video update and I talk about Azovstal and how there's a lot of talk that civilians are there, and there's a reason why the Russians are not going in there. And sure enough, as I was editing my video and putting it up, the morning video, we get news coming out, breaking news, that first of all, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. Shoigu said that Mariupol is now fully under the control of the Russians. In Shoigu's words, this is Shoigu's words, he said Mariupol has been liberated. That's what Shoigu told the Russian president. And he said that everything is under Russian control except for Azovstal, which is completely encircled. And he said there's 2,000 fighters who are trapped in Azovstal. And as he's briefing Russian President Putin, we get the news that the Russian president said, you know, there's no need to storm Azovstal. Call it off. Just keep it encircled, and there's no need to risk the lives of other Russian soldiers. Actually, let me read you the statement from Putin. Something is going on. There's something up with Azovstal. And let me pull it up because I want to get you Putin's quote as to what he said when he called off the storming of this steel factory. He ordered the cancel of the assault on Azovstal, and he said, he was telling Shoigu at a meeting at the Kremlin where Shoigu was briefing Putin on Azovstal, he said, this is the case when we must think. That is, we must always think, but in this case, even more so, about saving the life and health of our soldiers and officers. There is no need to climb into these catacombs and crawl underground through these industrial facilities. Block off this industrial zone so that the fly does not fly through. This is what Putin said to Shoigu and, well, to the entire world. So we know that Chechen fighters and Russian military, they're on the outskirts of Azovstal. They've gone in and they've penetrated the outskirts of this steel factory, and it's a massive steel factory. I mean, it's huge. It's like a city within a city in Mariupol. But they decided not to go into the actual structure, as Putin says, to climb into the catacombs. And what a mystery this has become. Not only are there the rumors, the talk that you have 400 foreign fighters, mercenaries, NATO fighters, French Foreign Legion, German soldiers, UK soldiers, whatever. Not only do you have that rumor going on, you also have a rumor that there could be other things hidden away deep inside this steel factory. But now you have the talk, which sounds very plausible, that these Azov NAZI guys actually took civilians as hostages in Azovstal, and they're waiting for a Russian provocation in order to put a media spin on it, a media spin against Russia, that Russia destroyed the Azovstal steel factory when there were innocent women and children being held there as hostages. So maybe Putin knows something. Maybe he's one step ahead of the NATO and Zelensky provocateurs who have ordered the Ukraine military in this steel factory not to surrender. If they surrender, they will be shot. And they prefer that Russia destroy this steel factory in order for them to get the media win Meanwhile, the NAZI guys are holding these people as hostages in the steel factory, saying that the only way they will surrender, the only way they will come out is if they don't surrender, and they're given access to, they're given access to a third-party country. They're allowed to escape to a third-party country. This is such a fascinating story. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. But we'll find out. I hope we'll find out exactly what's going on here sooner or later in Azovstal. You got to figure that Putin's plan now is just to keep it encircled with a minimum amount of Russian troops and to wait it out. But if there's hostages there, you know that the Russians are going to be negotiating for their release as well. So you know there's going to be all kinds of talks and negotiations. Of course, there's food, water, supplies, all of these things that these people who are trapped in this steel factory, soldiers as well as possible civilians, are going to need. Medical care, there's all these things. So you can be 100% sure that the Russians are in constant communication and negotiations with those in this steel factory. And the Zelensky regime, they're taking their orders from NATO, and you can be sure that NATO and the Zelensky regime is telling them, do not negotiate with the Russians and do not come out and sacrifice yourselves for the glory of Ukraine. And they're looking for a media and PR win. So they want the Russians to go in hard so they can get this media win. Anyway, that's the latest update on Azovstal. The other update that I want to talk about is with regards to Gonzalo. And I'm not going to say much here. Well, maybe I will say a few words. The first thing is with Scott Ritter's post. Scott Ritter did the right thing by posting what he posted about Gonzalo because it was misinterpreted. It was misinterpreted. And why do I say that? Because even Scott Ritter had to clarify what he said on his Telegram post. Scott was trying to draw attention to what's going on with Gonzalo. He's using his big platform to draw attention to the fact that Gonzalo is missing, and he was drawing a comparison with the information and much of the misinformation, but the rumors about what's going on with the Gonzalo, and he was drawing a comparison to what happened to Protasevich, who was he was this Belarusian activist / journalist, a citizen journalist, but a Belarusian activist who was deeply involved in the regime change that took place in Belarus about a year ago. And if everyone remembers, he was on that plane from Athens, Greece to, I believe it was Lithuania, and the plane was either forced to land or told to land, depending on the story that you hear. I'm not going to get into it. I think that's a whole separate video. But when it did land in Belarus, Lukashenko took Protasevich into custody, and he's been in prison. But he's done many interviews. We know he's okay. He's just in a Belarusian prison because, according to Belarusian law, he's being charged with sedition, with treason, something along those lines, because he was one of the leaders of the of the regime change effort, which was being conducted by the West. I don't think that's a secret to say that. I mean, I think that's pretty common knowledge that the European Union was trying to get regime change in Belarus, and it didn't work. Lukashenko was one step ahead of them, and he got Protasevich, who was one of the leaders of this regime change effort. And the point that Scott was making was that when this happened and they got Protasevich, who was a citizen journalist, but someone who was actively involved in regime change, when the Lukashenko government got him into custody, the entire collective West freaked out. And if people have forgotten, the collective West banned all flights from Belarus into the European Union. They closed the airspace because of Protasevich, who has admittedly taken part in an EU-sponsored regime change of a country. So They went crazy over Protasevich. Meanwhile, you have Gonzalo Lira, who is a citizen journalist, and he's been disappeared, and the collective West is not saying anything. And that was Scott's point. He was drawing attention not only to the fact that Gonzalo Lira has disappeared, but he was drawing attention to the hypocrisy of the collective West. And it was a fantastic post, and it did draw attention to the plight and the disappearance of Gonzalo. But a lot of Telegram channels misinterpreted what Scott said, and they said that Scott was saying that he has confirmation that something awful has happened to Gonzalo, and it actually forced Scott to issue a clarification. And let me read you his clarification. A point of clarification, and this is on his Telegram. I have no direct evidence that Gonzalo has been killed. I was clear. I was referring to reports emerging about his demise, but Gonzo said any disappearance of more than 12 hours should be treated as if something bad had happened to him. It's been 5 days. If this had been a New York Times reporter disappearing in Russian-controlled territory, it would be headline news, especially if a Chechen hunter-killer team had taken credit for his death. But with Gonzo, it's silence. Which was the whole purpose of the post, to raise awareness about his disappearance. So that's a clear clarification from Scott. And good on Scott. I think he did raise awareness as to what's going on with Gonzalo. Some people took it out of context or didn't read his message carefully. But I think it was a brilliant post from Scott, because I completely forgot about Protasevich. So Scott, if you're watching this video, man, I completely forgot about Protasevich, and it was only a year ago that the whole thing went down. And when Lukashenko got Protasevich, the entire European Union completely flipped out, and they actually closed the entire EU airspace to Belarusian planes, commercial flights. They cut off Belarus because of the Protasevich. And Protasevich was trying to force regime change in Belarus. I mean, that was what he was tasked to do. And he was in Athens at a conference. And in that conference, you had who else but Jeffrey Pyatt in attendance at this. It's like this globalist conference that takes place in Greece. And Jeffrey Pyatt was there, and all of these interesting characters were at this conference, and so was Protasevich, this 24-year-old activist blogger. So there was a lot of weird stuff going on in Athens, and when he got on that plane to make his way to, I think it was Lithuania or Latvia, his plane got called down, and Lukashenko got him anyway. That's all I'm going to say on Scott's post. I think Scott was doing he did do a good thing, and he drew a lot of attention to Gonzalo. But some people are I don't want to say they're doing it out of malicious intent or anything. I just think they misinterpreted his post, and Scott came out with a clarification. So I think that story can be put to bed. We still don't know exactly what's going on with Gonzalo. I don't have any updates on my own. With my own information, I don't know. I don't have anything that I have found. In other words, no one has messaged me as to what's going on with Gonzalo. There are a lot of fake Twitter accounts claiming to be Gonzalo, but those are not. I don't think those are real. Actually, I know those are not real. The other story that I want to get to very, very quickly is the launch of the ICBM from the Russian military yesterday, the Sarmat. And this is a big, big deal. Vladimir Putin said in a statement yesterday after this launch, this successful launch, he said that the launching of the new Sarmat missile will provide, and I quote, food for thought for those who try to threaten Russia. Now, this is a big missile. The Sarmat is the most powerful missile with the biggest hitting range in the world. It will significantly strengthen the combat power of the Russian strategic nuclear armed forces, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. The test took place in Russia's far north, reportedly at the Plesetsk spaceport, which lies about 800 kilometers north of Moscow. Now, according to a state media description, the missile was developed as a replacement for the ICBM R-36M2. NATO reporting name SS-18 Satan. It is expected to be effective in destroying enemy strategic targets around the globe with kinetic impact energy and without the use of a nuclear warhead. This is coming from Zero Hedge, reporting from Zero Hedge. So this Sarmat is one dangerous freaking thing, super dangerous. And while Zero Hedge says that this missile can do damage with kinetic impact energy and without the use of a nuclear warhead, I hopped on to Inessa's Telegram channel, and she had a very interesting post where she said the Sarmat, meaning eternal, that's what the word Sarmat means, eternal, intercontinental ballistic missile, weighs 100 tons. For comparison, the US-made LGM-30 Minuteman is 35 tons with a range of 18,000 kilometers. The Sarmat has a range of 18,000 kilometers, and this allows it to carry up to 15 warheads, up to 75 KT. For comparison, kilotons, for comparison, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was 15 KT. This would be enough to wipe out a country the size of France. And by the way, the Sarmat can carry hypersonic missiles, rendering missile defense systems ineffective. And this is the most important part, most importantly, the Sarmat uses only locally made components. So in other words, this thing is sanctions proof. So it's Putin's way of saying, you guys want nuclear war? Bring it on. This is not good stuff at all. We don't need this kind of escalation at all. And no doubt that NATO is looking at this and they're saying, you know, maybe we should think twice before escalating with Russia and trying to push out the narrative that we can somehow survive a nuclear confrontation with Russia. The Russians are putting out the message, no, you won't. And they're putting out the message that we can hit you, and we can hit you all the way in the United States. The size of France, that's the amount of damage this thing can do. The size of France is what it could take out. Oh boy. Let's hope this, God, I hope this escalation stops. I really, really do. And I think the Russians are putting out these messages to the Pentagon. This is geared towards the Pentagon, because I think the Russians understand that the cooler heads in the United States are with the generals and with the people in the Pentagon who understand that escalation has to stop. And they're hoping that the people at the Pentagon who understand war, who understand the implications of nuclear war, are going to be able to overrule and rein in the crazies and the loonies and the ideologues in the European Union, and more importantly, at the Department of State. In other words, the military professionals in the United States of America are smart enough and realistic enough to overrule the crazies like Newland and Blinken and Sullivan. Let's hope. Let's hope. Finally, I'll do another clown world, and once again, it's dealing with Wimbledon. And in this clown world, we actually have a sane voice in the name of world tennis number one, Mr. Djokovic of Serbia, who is coming out and he is saying that he does not disagree with the clown world decision of Wimbledon to ban Russian tennis players. Dmitry Medvedev, Daniil, Dmitry Medvedev. I'm thinking about the former Russian president and now the head of the Security Council, Daniil Medvedev, who is a great tennis player, and he's the world number 2 tennis player, as well as the Belarusian women's star Arina Sabalenka, who is the world number 4. They will be banned from Wimbledon because Russians are being canceled for no reason whatsoever. And this is Clown World, but Djokovic is speaking out against Clown World. And Djokovic said this in a statement. He said, "I will always condemn war. I will never support war, being myself a child of war. I know how much emotional trauma it leaves. In Serbia, we all know what happened in 1999. In the Balkans, we have had many wars in recent history. However, I cannot support the decision of Wimbledon. I think it is crazy. When politics interferes with sports, the result is not good." That is what the world number 1 said. And Djokovic speaking out against the Clown World hysteria of the United Kingdom and of Wimbledon. By the way, Boris Johnson is in India, and he is trying once again to move India away from Russia and to convince the Indian leadership and to convince Modi to sanction the Russians. India, for its part, was very clear to Boris Johnson. They said, "Boris, if you come to India and you start to try and push us towards sanctioning Russia, don't bother coming." So Boris Johnson, he said, "No, I'm not gonna try to lobby you guys to sanction Russia, but I am gonna try to persuade you." So anyway, there's no chance that the Indian government isn't on to Boris Johnson and what he's trying to do. But you have this summit taking place. He's going to be meeting with Modi, I believe, tomorrow on Friday, and so let's keep an eye out for that and see how Boris Johnson tries to persuade India and lobby India to sanction Russia. And it won't work. I don't think it will work. I think the Indian officials are way too smart for Mr. Clown World himself, Boris Johnson. Anyway, guys, I think that's the video. I'm going to cross over now, across the street here in Nicosia, Cyprus, and I'll leave it there. theduran.locals.com, everybody. Once I cross the street, I'm going to sign out. All right. All right, I'm safe. I'm safe on the sidewalk. Take care, everybody.